When life gives you lemon, why not making lemonade? But it is not always the case. Think about what all the people around you would say to you about them eureka moments, about them light bulb moments, about them light at the end of the tunnel. But that is not always the case. Most of us go through some periods of our lives with hardship. There are bills piling up and there are so many stresses building up because of the studies, because of the work and work-life balance and even stress. But every single day is a battle. On this battlefield of life, how we can align ourselves and how we can understand how to create the best of ourselves to face the days when we are presented with the darkest moments of our hours. So for me, I set 5 reminders for myself every single day. So these reminders help me to look upon to the success that I'm having the vision for. So let's dive in. Past is a part of a timeline, and in that timeline, bear in mind you have 2 more things left, and that is your present, the moment that you are breathing right now, the moment you are watching this video and having that dialogue with me when you are putting a comment or putting a like or putting subscribe or click the bell icon, and the moment that you always have which is waiting for you, and that is future. So most of us, we have that mentality of getting stuck ourselves in the past. So let's take an example. In a day-to-day life, we wake up early morning. The first thing that comes into my mind when I wake up, I'll take the phone. I'll go to social media. I will try to make sure that I have a snapshot of what's happening around the world. But above all, what would happen is these social media, they are smart enough, they will throw you up. Yeah, 10 years ago, this is what you've done. And these were the memories from 5 years ago. These are great moments, but at the same time, among these posts, you will find out one of the friends who was in the part of your university team, now he's in a higher up position. So suddenly you start to think, rather than going to my profile, let me go into his profile. Let me see what he's doing. And then you find out he's doing great and he's taking the world on and he's in a better position than I am. Then that starts where your sadness creep into yourself, and then that demoralizes yourself. That happens to me. So every time it happens, I always think of a story that my dad used to tell me. He was not a philosopher or nor a graduate, but he gave me one of the greatest stories that I remember till this day, and that is, think about a moment that you had an argument with one of your friends, and it was a heated moment, and you said so many things, and then every time you remember you did things like that, make sure you get a piece of wood and you put a nail on that. What you can do is you can recover that relationship or the friendship with your friend, going back, having that conversation. You can even apologize. But the thing is, the hole that you put on that wood, even after you take in that nail, it is gonna stay there forever. But what you can do is, you are living in the present. So how can you present yourself to be the best that you can be today? Not yesterday, not tomorrow, but today. So having that mentality will help me to wake up and wash my face thinking I am facing a world where I will try to present myself as the best I can be. And at the same time, past is something which will help me to construct my confidence. Because think about your driving moments, and when you first started to drive your car as a new driver, how exciting it was. But at the same time, you were always aware that you have so many blind spots, and all the failures you had, they were blind spots. But at the same time, them failures stay in your mind. They are your memories. So they have told the biggest lessons, and the past has helped you to cover them blind spots so that you know what your blind spots are. But it doesn't mean there won't be any blind spots. They are infinite. But our duty is to learn the lessons from the past bless it, and remember that our blind spots are covered from the lessons of the past. And I am ready to take today on because I am ready to face the world, taking it on as it is today. We all have different journeys in our life, so they are unique. Just like all of us, we are unique. Why I say that? Take yourself, myself as examples. In our university life, in our student life, or even in our professional life, we have so many experiences. The day you start a new job, the day you start your first research in the university, you will be assigned with a supervisor. At work, you will be assigned with a buddy so that you can learn the trade and craft. But at the same time, there is one thing in common, and that is a theory. That is called 70-20-10. So in our lives as humans, we can learn something from the training that we are provided with. But at the same time, 20% of the things will come from someone, a third party person or a third dimension, just like your supervisor or just like your buddy who is at work. But 70% of the life learning comes from yourself. When you have the hands-on on the systems, when you have the hands-on on your research. So the best example for this is during my university life, my supervisor told me a great story. And she used to tell me, like, think about me as a supervisor. You may think that I may be 100% fit to understand your research intent and help you with it. But she said, I am not. The reason is I have met so many students, I've done so much research with them, and I've seen them pass and I've seen them fail. And think about it as a jungle. I'm not in a helicopter, but I am just right behind you. So I have followed them and I know the path that they took. But it does not mean the path that you are going to take, I know that. But what I can do is, with the past experience, I can tell you that when you are taking this route, these are the possibilities that can happen, that we can face. So the journey of life is a journey that you have to embrace by yourself. That is one thing I've always learned. So if you know your weaknesses, if you know your strengths, find opportunities and find the threats that are there that you need to eliminate to achieve your full potential. But above all, try to understand that you can't compare yourself to someone else's life. What you can do is you can take an abstract moment of someone's personality, someone's life, and then you can try to encapsulate it into a moment in your life or replicate it. But above all, the most important thing is how you execute the plan of life, which is only controllable, which is only within the grasp of yourself. Smiles can be contagious. Food for thought. But I think it can be true. And I know it is true. The reason for that is when it comes to our life, we meet different people every single day, day in, day out. We have friends in our life, we have family around ourselves, and at the same time, we have our work colleagues as well. Now, most of them, they can be really good, they can be neutral. But some of them, they can be really close to us, and at the same time, they really care for us. And some of them, unfortunately, they can be really contagious. They present you with a smile. But is that smile containing all the good reasons? So the great people that you meet, they should always ask you questions, but insightful ones. When you are looking for a job, how they can ask questions, how they can ask questions about your job hunt, how they can ask questions about your resume, and how constructive the resume is, and how they can actually give you advice. And rather than bragging about themselves, are they good listeners? The good listeners will always help to find a solution, because rather than I find a solution for a problem that is burning within my head, if I always have that conversation with a good friend who can be a great listener, he will always help me to reflect upon my mistakes, and at the same time, he will always be able to help me with a solution as well. Now that we both have solutions, then we can put it on the table, we can come up with the best resolution for the problem. And at the same time, if we have genuine friends, if we have genuine work colleagues, they will always sit with you, they will always pose a positive challenge. Now, when I say a challenge, it doesn't mean like tug of war or something, or we go to war against something. But what that means is they will pose you a challenge so that you will be the best at what you do in the days to come. Like, take yourself as an example. There's a work colleague who's sitting next to you, or there is a student colleague who is sitting next to you. They can motivate you. You know what? I bet in 6 days' time, you will not be able to complete the first part of this program. In 2 weeks' time, you won't be able to complete this function and present us with a great program. So these kind of things can always motivate you, because you know that it was a challenge, it's a positive one, but at the same time you are happy to achieve it. So make sure you are surrounded by people who are asking questions with a lot of insight, who are challenging in a way that they can nurture and motivate you, and above all, they should be great listeners. And for me, I am blessed with some friends, not every one of them, but some friends who are great listeners, who will ask questions, who will challenge me to see the best in me. So I am blessed to have them. I hope you are too. We all want to be happy, right? We all want to embrace the moments of happiness, and so do everyone. So there's a great story about reserving yourself for the inner happiness rather than external happiness. The reason for that is, like I discussed in my previous videos, external factors, some of them we can control, some of them we can't. But what we can control is inner happiness and inner self within us. So this story about the Zen monk who always used to say, "Is that so?" So once upon a time, this story starts with this monk who was doing great deeds to this village, and all the villagers used to bring so many things to the temple and always appreciated the monk. And every single time everyone appreciated the monk used to reply, "Is that so? Is that so?" So time passes, and then there was this girl in this village, and suddenly she gets pregnant. When she gets pregnant, she was banished from her own house, and she ran into this temple and said to the monk, "I am helpless, I have no shelter, I'm expecting a baby, so what should I do?" The monk said, "You know what, this is a temple, this is what we are here for, you can use the spare room in the temple." Now, you know, in the village, in them days, the news travels faster than light. So the monk used to go to the village market every Sunday. So every Sunday when the monk goes to the village market, all the people who appreciated the monk used to say, "You betrayed our trust. You made that girl pregnant, and now you're going to be a father, still you're running that temple. How dare you?" Then monk replied, "Is that so? Is that so?" Time passes, and the real culprit comes back, the father of the child. And he turns up and apologizes for everything, and he goes to this monk and say, "Can I have my partner back? I'd like to take care of my partner, and I'd like to take care and raise my child." Then the monk said, "Is that so? Is that so?" That's fine. Everything is perfect. Now the villagers come back after a few days, and the villagers brought so many things to the monk and said, "We can't believe we doubted you. You are so good, and we will never break your trust again. We will always respect you," villagers said. Then the monk replied, "Is that so? Is that so?" So, just like that, when you have the happiness, when you trust yourself, always you will find happiness. So you will feel the life is light. Kindness is free to give and free to receive. It's full duplex. So in this two-way street, why we do not share that compassion, the kindness? So it's really important when you are talking about kindness, you incorporate it with compassion. Because compassion is not blind optimism. Think about this. You and your friend walking on a street, and suddenly there's a massive hole. One of you fall into that hole. And rather than getting into that hole, if you say to your friend, you know what, hold on there, you got the phone, if things get worse, give me a ring, let me run down and get a rope and get some help, I'll come back, I'll pull you out. Or the second option is, you think you are the kindest person ever, you jump into the hole, you both suffer, maybe you end up dying. So it's not worth. So in life, try to understand when you can be kind. Every possible time that you can be kind, be kind. Be kind to people, be kind to your team around you, be kind to your colleagues around you. That will come back in return. Finally, I would like to end our discussion with a small story. So, once upon a time, there was this young man. He was poor, but he was determined. So he was studying to be a doctor. One day, he took a long journey. And this journey, when he was walking on the streets, one day he had to go through this village. And this village was well known for not being polite. So he knocked on everyone's doors to get a glass of water because he was thirsty but couldn't afford one. So everyone kept refusing him but one. And in this small house, it was not well built, it was not a rich place, but this door opened and a little girl come up and she listened to him. She went and get a glass of milk and a glass of water. He had this. Now the time passes, fast forwarded, and in a flash, life is a mystery, right? So the little girl was diagnosed with a disease and she was unconscious. She had to be hospitalized. Now, the surgery was costing her a lot, so her parents could not afford it. But suddenly, she was taken into the surgery. The surgery was done successfully, and there was this invoice, and to the bottom of it, it was said paid. And it was written, paid with a glass of milk. So now we know kindness is something that you should never expect something in return. But there is a possibility at the end of that tunnel, maybe one day, maybe you might get something in return. So rather than having that, we still can be happy. The reason is we have done something for us to feel better. We have helped someone, they were helpless. We have helped someone when they needed us the most. We have helped someone to bring the smiles into their faces. So think about it and try to set this reminder to yourself to wake up with. After doing all this, you will still have naysayers in your life. So when the naysayers come, deal with them. Now you know how to deal with them. And then try to find that happiness. Try to find that motivation that will help you to win the small battles daily and then reach the full potential when the day is presented with the bigger battles. So let's all get together and fight them battles, individual battles with singular visions, but our vision altogether will be universal. So with that idea, today, if you like the video, please subscribe and make sure you hit the bell icon to stay tuned. And soon we're going to start a podcast. I'll bring you more info about the podcast on Spotify soon. Take care and stay brave and stay positive.